inbounds it to Hamby, and so now that'll be that. So the Indiana Fever come into here after losing 3 of their last 4 on the
The Indiana Fever just battled through their toughest, grittiest win of the season, and for a moment, it looked like it might slip away. Up by a single point in the dying seconds, they watched as the referees handed the LA Sparks multiple extra opportunities that never should have been on the table. Caitlin Clark and Sydney Carlson wasted no time calling it out, and fans across the league are fuming. So, what made this matchup so controversial? And how did the Fever manage to push through every obstacle to keep their playoff hopes alive? Let's unpack the drama in Los Angeles and see why this victory could completely reshape Indiana's season. And now we have to ask, what's your take on the WNBA officiating this year? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's dive in.
One common theme in the WNBA is how poorly officiated these games can be. The lack of competence from the people wearing the striped suits. Every time I watch a WNBA game, a thought crosses my mind when it comes to the officials, and that thought is, how much money do you have on this game?
What made the closing seconds of this Fever Sparks clash feel endless? In just 3.9 seconds of game clock, the referees stretched the moment into what felt like forever, nearly taking away Indiana's most crucial win of the season. The Fever clung to a 76-75 lead as the arena erupted, both teams fully aware this was more than a single matchup. With Indiana holding 6th place and Los Angeles just 2 spots behind, one possession had the power to tilt the entire playoff picture. Inside Crypto.com arena, every dribble felt like it could decide the season, and the whistles simply refused to stop.
Man, I'm talking about right at the end of the game, when the nonsense was being called, and cheating was being speculated, right? Everybody was looking like how Caitlin Clark was looking by the end of that game last night with the Indiana Fever and the Los Angeles Sparks. Everybody was looking just like this, man. What in the world was going on?
The final sequence began with the Sparks desperately searching for one last chance to steal the game. But instead of simply letting the play unfold, the referees kept stepping in again and again. The clock was reset in bizarre ways. Fouls were called on one end, but ignored on the other. And even when the Fever forced turnovers or played flawless defense, Los Angeles was somehow rewarded with yet another inbound. These weren't long possessions, but every whistle dragged the finish out longer and made it feel increasingly tilted. Fans at home were left asking the same question. Just how many lifelines were the Sparks going to get?
So let's take a look at this. All right, now it was 0.6 on the shot clock when this happened, okay? They had the ball, they were running around. I thought the game was over here, honestly. I thought the game was over, but they ended up calling the foul, saying, oh, the game is still going on. All right, whatever. They got the foul. Cool. So Kelsey Mitchell, she goes to the free throw line, right? And she missed both of them. Now, I think Kelsey Mitchell should have made both of them, all right? At least one of them. But she missed both of them, okay?
In that exhausting stretch, Aaliyah Boston delivered what might have been the defensive play of the entire night, ripping the ball away just as the Sparks tried to force it inside for a last chance. The Fever wasted no time, racing down the court where Kelsey Mitchell drew a critical trip to the free throw line. With just 0.4 seconds on the clock, her first shot clanged off the rim, a miss that should have ended the drama right there. But instead of letting the final tick disappear, the officials handed Los Angeles yet another inbound, this time with only 0.1 seconds left. That single decision lit up social media, as Fever fans erupted in disbelief. After all, how could any team possibly execute a real play with less than the blink of an eye remaining? The tension in the arena was electric, every fan holding their breath for what came next.
But man, there is no way. Right at the end of the game, you should be on top of it. You telling me you're not paying attention to when some hands touch that ball? Come on, man. And then to reward them with the timeout, like, fam, that's crazy work. Look, Caitlin Clark, like, what is going on here? It's like, no. Look, Caitlin ready to run the floor, fam. She's like, no. What is this, man? What is this nonsense?
This wasn't just paranoia talking. Fans had reason to be suspicious. All season long, the league has seen games end with bizarre timing decisions, questionable whistles, and replay monitor confusion that left everyone scratching their heads. Soft fouls and clutch moments and delays that killed momentum have frustrated fan bases across the WNBA. For Indiana, this game felt like the latest entry in a troubling pattern, one that hinted at either consistent officiating incompetence or something far more concerning. Within minutes, social media was flooded with clips of the controversial 0.1 second inbound. Posts accusing the league of embarrassing itself again spread like wildfire, with fans and analysts alike demanding answers and accountability.
Then they put 0.1 on the shot. 0.1 on the shot clock, fam. What are we doing? What are we doing, man? I mean, this is nonsense. How do you even have time to do anything? How do you even have time?
But the Fever refused to break. No matter how many second chances Los Angeles was handed, the Sparks couldn't take advantage, and Aaliyah Boston made sure of it, holding her ground at the rim like a wall. When the final shot bounced away harmlessly, the buzzer finally sounded for real, bringing an end to the chaos. It felt less like a basketball game and more like a trial by fire, a test to see just how much adversity Indiana could withstand before being allowed to celebrate. The referees may have turned the night into pure bedlam, but in the end, it was the Fever's resilience and sheer grit that won out. And they did it all with several key players stuck on the sidelines, proving once again that this team's heart is bigger than its roster.
Oh my goodness, man. They did everything they could to try to get them a win in this one, fam. It's ridiculous. It was flat out ridiculous.
How does a team, missing its biggest star and 3 other key rotation players, still find a way to win a game that could reshape the entire playoff picture? Somehow, that's exactly what Indiana managed to do against the Sparks. Caitlin Clark was out once again, still waiting for medical clearance. Sophie Cunningham was also unavailable, taking away one of the Fever's most dependable scoring threats. Sydney Carlson and Ari McDonald were both sidelined as well, robbing Indiana of 2 guards who provide energy, speed, and crucial ball-handling depth. And then there was Lexi Hull, stepping onto the floor with not 1, but 2 blackened eyes from a brutal head-on collision in the previous game, a walking reminder of how physical this stretch has been. Looking at the lineup sheet before tip-off, most people assumed Indiana simply didn't have enough firepower left to hang with Los Angeles. But the Fever had other plans, and they came ready to fight for every possession.
Steph mentioned, whenever she sees you with the 2 black eyes, she smiles in a way because it just exemplifies your toughness. Do you feel tough in these kinds of situations with these 2 black eyes?
I mean, that's what people keep telling me. Every time she sees me, she smiles and then she says, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, you don't need to be sorry. This is what it is. And when I'm playing, like, I forget about it, and then I go look in the mirror. I'm like, oh shit, they're still there. So yeah, I don't really think too much about it because I don't necessarily feel them all the time.
Yeah, and you're still able to see completely fine.
Yep.
All right.
Nothing's changed.
All right, perfect. I think
The easy assumption was that Los Angeles finally had their chance to deliver a knockout blow to Indiana's playoff hopes. With Caitlin Clark's shooting missing and Sophie Cunningham's floor spacing absent, the Fever looked stripped of their offensive balance. Add to that the absence of Sydney Carlson and Ari McDonald, the 2 guards who usually help relieve Kelsey Mitchell from carrying the full point guard burden, and it felt like a clear mismatch on paper. But basketball rarely sticks to the script. Instead of folding, Indiana turned the game into a statement, and one veteran, in particular, refused to let the night play out the way everyone expected, choosing instead to write her own story, one that came at the Sparks' expense and flipped the entire narrative on its head.
Sims left open for 3. She got it. Offensive rebound, Sims the runner. Here's Howard. Shovels Sims right at the doorstep, and she gets it off the window. 3-on-3 the other way. Sims the take and finishes the lefty layup.
Odyssey Sims has been just about everywhere in her career, from rookie standout to seasoned veteran. And yes, even suiting up for the Sparks back in her early days. But on this night, she became Los Angeles' worst nightmare. Sims lit them up for 21 points, relentlessly attacking the rim and carving up their defense with fearless drives. When the Fever needed someone to keep their composure in the final moments, Sims didn't just step up, she took over. She scored Indiana's last 5 points herself, delivering the knockout blow that silenced the Sparks and gave the Fever just enough cushion to survive the chaos, the whistles, and the clock. In a season packed with uncertainty, Sims reminded everyone exactly what veteran leadership looks like: calm, decisive, and absolutely ruthless when the game is on the line.
Sparks started the game on a 7-0 run. Here's Mitchell, right back to Boston, and unable to get that one, but follows her on. Cameron Brink and Ray Burrell going to be checking in next time there's a stoppage for LA. Here's Turner in traffic, and she gets it up off the window.
Beautiful pass from Boston.
7 on the shot clock. Mitchell turning the corner. Jump stop in the lane, loses the ball. Brink throws it right to Boston. Easy layup.
Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston once again proved why she's the unquestioned cornerstone of the franchise. Her stat line doesn't just reflect points and rebounds. It tells a story of complete dominance on both ends of the court. Boston patrolled the paint with authority, disrupting the Sparks' offense, forcing tough shots, and snatching boards even when facing relentless double teams. Whenever the Fever's attack stalled, she became the stabilizing force, setting hard post screens and creating valuable second-chance opportunities. Her presence alone elevated the team, and without her commanding performance, the chaos of the fourth quarter could easily have swung in the Sparks' favor. In every sense, Boston was the anchor holding everything together.
Sims. They kick it out. Hole of 3.
Big bucket from Lexi Hull.
And then there was Lexi Hull, grinding through heavy minutes despite swelling and bruises. She was the embodiment of the team's grit and resilience. Every loose ball she dove for, every sprint back on defense, every cut and screen on the floor showed a player refusing to back down. Indiana needed fearless bodies tonight, and Hull displayed the next woman up mentality that has become a hallmark of this squad. Kelsey Mitchell may not have been perfect, particularly in the closing moments, but her relentless scoring pressure kept the Sparks constantly on their heels. Even when her shots weren't falling, she demanded attention, creating openings for Sims and Boston to capitalize. That willingness to take on responsibility, to lead by action, highlighted the team's backbone and kept them competitive in Clark's absence.
We have a deep team that a lot of people, a lot of players on our team could be playing and they're not. And that's a tribute to our depth, certainly, but also sometimes everybody wants to play, right? And I think the selfless nature of this group just can't be overstated. And that's why we're able to be in positions like this that we're able to be in.
Stephanie White carefully crafted rotations that leaned on defensive intensity and sheer toughness. Indiana battled on every possession, scrapped for every loose ball, and made sure nothing came easy for the Sparks. What unfolded wasn't just survival. It was a statement. This team can compete and thrive even when playing shorthanded. And now, with reinforcements on the horizon, the anticipation of what happens once Caitlin Clark rejoins this resilient core adds an entirely new layer of excitement. Yet, the strangest twist of the night came off the court. Why did Caitlin Clark, who never even stepped on the floor, dominate the post-game conversation? That's what made this Fever Sparks matchup so surreal. Indiana's hard-fought victory should have been the headline, but instead, all eyes were on Clark's reaction to the officiating. Sitting on the sidelines in street clothes, she refused to stay silent. Her pointed frustration made it clear that she believed the referees had overstepped, echoing exactly what fans were already voicing online. When one of the league's most prominent stars shines a spotlight on controversial calls, it doesn't fade after a single night. It becomes the story everyone is talking about.
What prop bet did you place prior to suiting up tonight? What's the over/under, and are you concerned with the specific outcome? The officials in the WNBA, yes, they're incompetent, yes, they're trash, but it always seems like there's some shady, they're so bad and so incompetent, it seems like there's shady business taking place behind the scenes. If the WNBA needs to investigate in anything, if somebody needs to investigate in anything regarding the WNBA, it's about how dirty the hands are of the officials.
What Clark said went far beyond a single bad call. It addressed a persistent pattern of inconsistency that players have been battling all season. And she wasn't alone in speaking out. Sydney Carlson, sidelined with injury, added her own pointed critique after the game, highlighting how Kelsey Mitchell rarely seems to get the calls she rightfully earns. Carlson went further, hinting at what many players feel but seldom voice publicly. When referees fail to protect players from obvious contact, it's no longer just a game. You're fighting to survive every play. Her observations about the physicality LA was allowed to get away with resonated deeply with anyone who watched the contest. Together, Clark and Carlson reshaped the narrative entirely. This wasn't just another tense finish in a packed WNBA schedule. It became a league-wide conversation about fairness and whether officiating is truly protecting the game's integrity. Clark's influence magnifies that discussion because her presence in sports media is enormous right now. Every clip, every comment spreads across social platforms and talk shows within hours, not days. When she highlights an issue, the entire league feels the pressure. Fans already see her as the cornerstone of Indiana's future, but in this moment, she assumed a different mantle, the outspoken voice demanding accountability.
How dirty are the hands of some of these players that are in this league? Oh yeah, tonight's the night I'm just gonna go 2 for 13. Oh, hey, it's the WNBA. I can slide into 2 for 13 and nobody will bat an eyelash. I can shoot 5 for 22 and nobody will really think twice because it happens.
And Carlson's voice carried weight as well. As a veteran, she understands the league's politics and intricacies, and when she adds her perspective, it makes it clear that this frustration isn't just coming from a rising star. Experienced players are fed up too, giving the message even more authority and resonance. For the Fever, these statements weren't merely complaints. They became unifying rallying cries that energized the team, fueling their victory and giving purpose to the chaos surrounding the game. Layer in the fact that Clark is already back at practice, running through drills and pre-game routines, and the energy around Indiana shifts entirely. The team has proven they can endure and perform under pressure while shorthanded. With Clark back in the mix, what once looked like scrappy survival transforms into genuine, dangerous potential. Suddenly, the playoff picture takes on a new dimension. Indiana isn't just holding on to a spot. They look poised, confident, and ready to challenge anyone who dares stand in their way. What does it really signify when the league's top star starts showing up to practice again? For Fever supporters, it's more than a small sign. It's a signal that hope is gradually solidifying into something tangible. Caitlin Clark has been out of action for weeks, sidelined by a right groin injury that kept her off the court. But now, she's not just attending for team morale or presence. She's actively engaging with her teammates, running through shoot-arounds, and fully participating in drills. When fans noticed her going through pre-game routines in Los Angeles, hitting jumpers, and moving with purpose, it wasn't merely a backdrop or casual sighting. It felt like a true sign of a player turning a corner toward recovery. What's particularly notable is how deliberately everything is being managed. The team hasn't set a specific return date for Clark, and perhaps that caution is intentional. WNBA injuries, especially those affecting the lower body, have a reputation for lingering and worsening when rushed back into play. Yet seeing Clark in shoot-arounds and non-contact drills isn't just a staged appearance to reassure fans. It's genuine, active involvement. This is a real indicator that she's moving closer to getting back on the floor. One fan perfectly captured the excitement online with a simple declaration: "She is back." That kind of energy doesn't come from small steps. It comes from meaningful progress that everyone can feel.
You know, it wasn't ideal in terms of how the game was. It was ugly. We had moments where we were better than others, but we dug in. I mean, when you think about key defensive stops, key offensive rebounds, like AB's key offensive rebound there at the end, you know, making plays, deflections that led to steals or deflections that led to bobbled passes, just the sense of urgency that we played with in those last minutes through some gray area, right? Through some times when it wasn't perfect, and you know, it was a gut check time, and our team stepped up to the challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Still, the lack of a clear timeline adds an undeniable tension. Fever coaches aren't committing to any return date. The front office hasn't released an official statement, and Clark herself is keeping her plans intentionally vague. All of this uncertainty has fans and analysts alike speculating, turning every update into a guessing game. Will she make her comeback before the regular season wraps up, or will we only get to see her if Indiana advances to the playoffs? That mystery carries its own kind of energy. Every new clip of her moving confidently in practice reignites debates, fuels conversation, and ratchets up anticipation. Consider this: the Fever have already managed without her, enduring a rough stretch where they dropped 4 out of 5 games before rallying with 2 consecutive wins. Now, imagine the boost her presence could provide as they head into the postseason. Teams across the league understand the impact immediately. Adding a sharpshooter like Clark, someone who can stretch defenses and create space at will, fundamentally changes how opponents prepare and scout Indiana. And it's not just about spacing. Clark brings unparalleled court vision, an instinct for elevating her teammates, and the ability to maintain calm and composure in high-pressure moments. While Indiana has grown more resilient in her absence, reinserting a generational playmaker into the lineup has the potential to supercharge the entire system, turning an already solid team into a truly formidable contender.
Great job, ladies! I'm really proud of you guys. That was an ugly, hard-fought win. Hard-fought win. And listen, we know that we didn't play our best basketball, and in those moments where we needed a stop, or we needed a big bucket, that you don't teach. And y'all got it. And y'all got it. So again, marrying our energy effort with our execution. Okay, that's our journey. But this is a hard win right here. I'm proud of you guys. Great job. Together, 3, 1, 2, 3. Together.
We've seen playoff runs completely transformed by late-season comebacks before. When star players return at just the right moment, they can turn an underdog into the storyline nobody saw coming. That's exactly the potential Caitlin Clark brings right now. A fully healthy Clark doesn't just put points on the board. She lifts morale, inspires confidence, and reminds everyone in that locker room that they're no longer just fighting to survive. For the fans, her presence is magnetic. Every glimpse of her in pre-game drills spreads like wildfire online. Clips of her shooting and moving in practice rack up thousands of shares within hours, proving the influence she carries even off the court. Pair that energy with a Fever roster that's already shown it can battle through adversity, and suddenly Clark's return feels less like an addition and more like fuel injected straight into the team's engine. Indiana has proven it can endure challenges, but with Clark back, they might show just how high this group can soar when the playoffs arrive. The Fever's recent win may not have been flashy, but it told a powerful story, a team that refuses to back down. Even when pushed to the edge by baffling officiating decisions, they stayed composed and kept their playoff trajectory intact. That resilience matters far more than the final score. It proves that chaos won't shake them. So here's the question: is the WNBA being held back by poor officiating? Fans deserve better, and the players deserve better too. Because once Caitlin Clark returns, this toughened Fever squad could become the team no one expects, but suddenly everyone has to respect and fear. What's your take on WNBA referees? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the action. Click the video on your screen now, and we'll see you in the next one.